Welcome everybody. Okay, ready to do some yoga? You ready, Sharon? Alright, Satnam. Let's go. Tuning in. Come into your prayer pose. For now. Gurudev Namo. Namo. Gurudev Namo. Adgude Name, Jugadgude Name, Satgude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name, Adgude Name, Jugadgude Name, Satgude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name, Adgude Name, Jugadgude Name, Satgude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name. Okay, Satnam. I think when chanting that mantra, Adgudename, Jugadgudename, we often think about it like a protection. Protection from what? Some spiritual boogeyman? No. But maybe our own subconscious, our own kind of negative emotions, negative thoughts. When we use the negative within that context, like negative emotions, negative thoughts, it would be, or negative actions, probably even more important. That would be meaning actions that cause ourselves suffering would be negative actions in that context. So yes, and yeah, certainly there are forces that we'd like to protect ourselves from. I think so, 100%. But not in something that has some power over us or anything like that, you know what I'm saying? I think this idea of beginning and ending a practice by dedicating it to others, and to dedicating it, and as Bob wisely pointed out, all beings is inclusive of yourself, and then furthermore, as I've mentioned many times, and Bob mentioned many times last weekend, that the Dalai Lama mentions all the time, often, is it's really about generating your own blissfulness and your own experience of love. And that's the pathway of blissfulness, is if by trying to keep it, there's no way, it doesn't grow, I can't keep, it's like no different in a certain way than like money. The more we try to like hoard money, the more miserable we become. Or the more we try to hoard anything, the more miserable we become. So, but by giving away, giving away in that sense of sharing your energy, it strengthens itself and it grows, and we become deeper in love. We become deeper in love with ourselves. We become filled with greater and greater compassion and blissfulness, that kind of thing. So ad gurename, it's a good opportunity. Ad gurename, you're wishing goodness for all beings in this direction. Jugad gurename, you're wishing goodness, blessings, alleviation of suffering for all beings behind you. And behind you can also mean all through the past. So that could be all your ancestry, your relatives who have passed. Nobody dies. That's the whole thing. So if someone's not here in the same form that we knew them as, they're still here somewhere. And probably right here in within a more ultimate reality that we may not be able to perceive. So ad gurename, jugad gurename, sata gurename, to this direction, all beings in this direction, Siddhi Gurudeva ename, and that could be this direction, say perhaps north, or it could be in the future, past, present, and future are all kind of interwoven and interconnected into a single moment, single unit. That's the glory of the meditative experience. Is that becomes very kind of palpable and real. So ad gurename, ad is primal, gure is like guru, wisdom. Name is like I bow, or I make myself a vessel for, make myself a good vehicle for. Ad gurename, in the beginning, primal. In the beginning was the word. Ad gurename. Sat is like truth. Sat, like satanam. Sata gure, of a vehicle for that kind of primal wisdom and intelligence. That's the true wisdom right now. The only thing is true is the experience of now. Ad gurename, I forgot. Jugad gurename first. Jugad gurename is like, it's been here throughout all the ages. Sata gurename, it's here right in this moment. Wisdom, love, intelligence, energy, being, your existence, my existence. Siddhi Gurudeva ename, that wisdom, intelligence, forever into the future. So what do I have to worry about? So it's that kind of thing. But if we want a real protection, like Lord Buddha under the Bodhi tree, his enlightenment, these were these kind of like these subtle being demon type characters are firing arrows. Physics, anytime some sort of positive energy is being generated, there'll be a negative energy that is going to be generated in the other direction. Every action has its reaction, whether it's on the gross plane or subtle plane. So anytime that you or I make some sort of positive energy effect, then we can expect there'll be some sort of negative, and it's our skillfulness that allows us to not be affected by the negative resistance. How? By dwelling in the space between. Reading this just started to peek into it. Someone, beautiful man I met at Satnam Fest Berkshires last year. He sent me a manuscript for a book I think is going to be published, which I mentioned. So they kindly sent me the manuscript. I haven't got a chance to read it yet, but there was one part of that. There's one chapter called the Blue Ethers, because I taught a class last year in the Berkshires that taught the Blue Ethers. And again, I haven't been able to read the book, but I did peek through the chapter just this morning, and he was saying how they very much kind of align, because this is a book about his near-death experience. And I remember speaking with him after the class, and he was saying how his near-death experience was very much in line with how I was describing the Blue Ether teachings. It's interesting. And so I was reading a little bit about that there, and it's beautiful. It seems like a beautiful book. It seems like it's Christian-oriented, which is really cool, you know. The chapter before that is called Jesus Sent Me. So I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing, actually. I love that kind of stuff. But it also in there, like, in that little bit line up, but then like you question it, like, have I had enough experience to like believe this is to be real? And I really appreciate that. And I think that's wisdom, you know, really questioning, not in like so much as like in an academic fashion necessarily, but really using one's own wisdom sword, you know, and not just, okay, because someone said something, we believe it, but rather really like testing it against our experience and using not our just surface intellect, but our deeper intuition. What Tenzin called last weekend are so beautiful. Anyhow, the reason I brought that up, because the book is called The Place Between Here and There. Space between that's Bardo's. This is a Bardo we're in right now. We're in a place between here and there. The Bardo is between the womb and the birth and the death. The two doors. We're in between those two doors. Birth is a door, death is a door. So anyhow, Buddha under the Bodhi tree is in the space between, no doubt. Because is it Mara that's shooting the arrows? I don't remember the story so wonderfully, but definitely, like, arrows are coming at, and because anyone to shoot arrows at anything else, whether subtle beings or dense beings like myself, one would have to be in a certain level of suffering to shoot an arrow, you know, to try to harm another. And so, of course, the Buddha was instantly just filled with compassion. And those arrows, as the legend goes, as the mythology tells us, the arrows turned to flowers and showered flower petals down. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we can do in our lives, I think, very practically, is turn the adversity in our lives into flower petals. And how do we do that? By learning to more consistently dwell in the space between. And I honestly don't know how to do that other than by meditating. That's the only way I know how to generate that type of an experience to where then it starts to become more consistent in my life. That doesn't mean that the only time we dwell in the space between is when we're meditating. No, I think that would be a mistake of approach or thinking or experience, is that what we are hoping to see and what we would like to be looking for to experience, in my opinion, is that the spaces that we're experiencing in our meditation begin to overflow into our lives. And that we find ourselves dwelling in more joyful and blissful spaces more consistently, little by little, over time. This takes time, though. You know what I'm saying? And then on the path, whatever energies that arise in our lives, and sometimes difficult energies, difficult emotions, difficult to being dominated by them. And so this takes a lot of practice, you know, to have that type of emotional intelligence to where anger and jealousy and despair and grief and melancholy and anxiousness can all be kind of allies that we utilize to when eventually perhaps they even become so subtle that we would never even call them anxiety anymore. We wouldn't even call it jealousy anymore. It's become something else, something far more subtle than of dense emotion. And yet we're human beings. We're still going to have all the emotions. And so when we do experience anger, we're not what do you say? We're not, the word's escaping me. I'm trying to say categorizing twice in one Dharma talk. We're not interpreting. We're not interpreting our own difficult emotions as something indicative of being right, or we're not in the right space, but rather we start to experience even those things as being great teachers for us, even when it's difficult, and we give thanks. And so to just even be in a space where one can give thanks for the difficult experiences of their lives is a expression of a between state and so perhaps some of that is useful for us as we dive into the practice today and we do these. And then when you think about like giving and receiving, giving, it's not giving as if losing something, but really how these Tibetans talk about it is that actually is what protects whatever good merit, as using the words that they typically translate in the Buddhist context, whatever good merit, protect that, because you can't lose what you've given away. Or there's Bob had a nice way of explaining it. Dingo Kinsey explains it really beautifully in his Heart of Compassion book. That there's this kind of mystical quality that they have some great explanations of when you dedicate, and they consider it one of the supreme points of practice. And I would consider it one of the supreme points of practice, is you begin and you end every practice by wishing that goodness for all beings everywhere. And when we do that, it gives us ourselves an experience of our own expansiveness. And so that's a little bit, and as we're traveling, we're just one day past the halfway point of this 40-day journey of the heroic heart. So now I feel like we can start to get into the little more nuanced aspects of this. Whereas in the first kind of couple weeks, we're just kind of getting a handle on the experience of what it is that we're doing now. We may even be will help to alleviate boredom, perhaps. Maybe some of you since last week, or those of you who are students of the Dharma Warrior course, may have been working on this for quite some time. Adversary into your meditation, quote-unquote troublemaker in your life, someone who may wish you harm, perhaps you wished harm. Experience this, even our so-called enemies as allies. And then it turns out there are no enemies, because what's the value of that? That no other person gives you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes even your loved ones in certain moments are adversaries, or experienced as adversaries emotionally in our own body and mind, you know what I'm saying? The ones we love the most are the ones who know how to kind of take that little knife and jab us. And so even in that situation, you can utilize that juice, rasa, emotional rasa, is a good ally if you make it that. Otherwise, it will be an enemy. You see? But the point is, you have the capacity to be in charge of that disposition. But that's why right now in the classes, especially on Monday and Thursday evening, we've been kind of focused on generating pranic strength, pranic power, so that we can do that more effectively. To me, that's what Kundalini Yoga is especially useful for, among other things, but within this context, is to develop the ability to actually in whatever direction you wish to move. But that's why it's even more important that we recognize that the centerpiece of our work is love and compassion and working for not only for ourselves but for others. Because if we're not working simultaneously for the benefit of others, we're doing ourselves a disservice. That's the whole teaching, is that we are intimately intertwined with every other. Therefore, we have to have some sort of kind of, what do you call it, governor that keeps the ego or make sure that the ego is being utilized in wise ways. Because otherwise, one can generate a tremendous amount of energy with this work, and it can potentially be in service to anything and not always, auspicious and helpful things. So just because, and that's not unique to Kundalini yoga practice, that's unique to any helps develop a person. And so that's why when people say, all right, not enough yoga, too much, the practices without the teaching is insufficient, period. That doesn't mean that I don't talk too much sometimes. I'm not saying that. I agree with you that I do talk too much sometimes, but I'm a cracked vessel. I like to have fun, and sometimes I'm having fun, and why not? So that's why we offer on-demand things. You can always fast forward. You know what I'm saying? What's up?
My settings and come back. So just tell people not to freak out. It's going to go black for a second.
Okay, Aki says don't freak out. We're cutting the feed for just a moment. I think this is his way of getting me to shut up and do the yoga practices. But so the feed's going to go out in just a moment, and then let me know when we're back. Back on now? Great. So were people able to catch the previous stuff? Was people able to watch the previous part of the class?
It was just buffering.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's begin the practice. Satnam, glad you're here. We're going to journey now from now to the end of all the way through the Kriyas and the heroic heart meditation and enjoy the effect. So please come on to your hands and knees and let's begin. It's good to be here with all of you. Counting our blessings, What do we have our mind focused on? What we're not able to do? That's real, Feel that. I feel sad. I can't be around my friends and family. But that's outside of my control. So instead, I'm not going to stay there. We count our blessings. So, when generating life force strength and life force vitality, pranic vitality is a good way to say it. It gives you mental vitality. And when we have mental vitality, we can choose where the mind goes. And so if we have that kind of, and you combine that with a wisdom in the teaching where you can understand, all right, in your experience of if I can have my mind counting my blessings, then we find our lives to be enjoyable. And this kind of sort of almost like radical positivity. It's not positivity in the sense of power of the positive mind. Yes, a little of that. But really, directing the mind so it can act as a better servant of our lives for the Dharma, for whatever we're here to do, so that we can be helpful, so that we can experience our own blissful brilliance. Deeper the breathing now. Inhale, head is up. Third eye gaze. Exhale, the head is down. Push all the breath out. Arch the spine up. Pull your navel in and relax. Come sitting up on the hands. Hands on your lap. Chest is out. Chin is slightly in. Third eye gaze. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back. Real deep breathing, meditative. That's why we go the mantra, the space between non-sat, non-positive, negative, female, male, good, bad, sit, neutralization of the life force system. The endocrines will balance, nervous system will strengthen. Powerful rhythm breath, continue. Inhale, rectum, sex organ, navel, gaze at third eye. Exhale. Come back to easy pose. Hands to your shoulders. Inhale left, exhale right. Keep going. Prithvi hai, the realm of the earth. Akasha hai, the heavenly realm. Guru Ram Das hai, the realm of the heart center, the field of love and compassion. Prithvi hai, lower triangle. Akasha hai, higher triangle. Guru Ram Das hai, the center point of the organism, the field of heart. To the center, inhale deep. Rectum, sex organ, navel, third eye, and then the field of the heart. Exhale. Hands on your knees. Every inhale, squeeze up. Every exhale, let it release. And it can go like a... Lift up through the perineum area, pelvic floor, heart is open, chin is slightly in. Inhale, squeeze up. Exhale. Just meditate. Bring your hands into your lap. And the back of the right hand into the left palm. Thumb tips touching together. Heart wide open. Breath flows naturally. Mouth relaxed. Jaw. Mouth slightly open. And dwell in the between. Allowing all things to be just as they are. Not pushing anything away. Not grabbing hold or gripping onto anything either. Not resisting any sensations, and not concentrating on anything in particular, dwelling in the space. everything. Not gripping onto anything. Inhale deep. Exhale deep. Inhale deep. Exhale deep. Inhale deep. Exhale deep. And make your way up to standing posture. Jnana Mudra. Inhale, arms are up, knees up, exhale down. Keep going. Perfection. Rhythmic meditative breath. Eyes open, single gazing point. Like warriors of goodness, love, creativity, upliftment. Deeper the breath now, so, like come alive, springtime. Lymph, blood, breath, prana, mind, mastery. Almost there. Maybe your mind is like, I don't mind if we're not there yet. I'll continue doing this as long as it's serving us. I'm going to just keep going if my body is able. My body's always working for me. How about it? Let me work for my body a little bit. My heart's always working for me. How about let me work for my heart a little bit? My immune system's always working for me. How about I help out my immune system just a bit on this Wednesday? What is that? Mercury? Inhale, stretch up. Fantastical. Relax, exhale. Sunday sun, Monday moon, Tuesday Mars, Wednesday Mercury, Thursday Jupiter, Friday Venus, Saturday Saturn. Legs out, arms out, fingers firm. Inhale there, exhale there. Use your core, lift you up. Inhale, fill the lungs, exhaling down. Every inhale, fill the body with lightness of being, joyfulness, pran. And inhale up. Beautiful, heart wide open like a beaming, brilliant ball of light emanating in all directions. And exhale. Great. And then come on to your backs. This warrior practice of this 4-day challenge is no joke. It's a good set. It works beautifully. Inhale deeply. Fully exhale. Inhale deeply. Fully exhale. You're gonna inhale, come into stretch pose. Powerful breath of fire. Inhale. Root lock in, navel and deep. Navel and deep. Relax. Relax like you're just allowing yourself to be nurtured with a realization of the blissfulness of reality. and life. And is allowing that realization, that possibility, perhaps, to just infuse the entire body. Hug the knees up into the chest. Bring the nose up towards the knees. Release the shoulder blades down. Inhale deep. Powerful breath of fire. Meditative mind. Inhale. Exhale. Relax. Hug the knees to the chest. Rock and roll. Come up, easy pose. Or a charge. Thumbs are out, fingers tucked, arms 60 degrees. Third eye gaze, shoulders released down the back, heart wide open. Inhale, breath of fire. steady, third eye, meditative mind dwell. Inhale, thumb tips, stretch up, stretch, exhale. Bring yourself back into that same meditative position. Hands in the lap, thumb tips touching. Heart lifted out, shoulders back, chin slightly in. And visualize yourself. Experience yourself as a majestic being, radiance, like the sun shines a light, a radiance. See your being shining a radiance, subtle, powerful, brilliant. Beautiful radiance in all directions. And now imagine that radiance being clearly an emanation of love, a result of a tremendous sense of love, and sense of compassion in your heart and your being. And as if it was a dream where you just know certain things to be true. In this scenario, you simply know that the radiance is an emanation of love, that your beauty is an emanation of love, that your skills and talents, and even neuroses, an emanation of love. That the place that you've arrived in this moment in your life is an emanation of love. The people in your life are an emanation of love. The environments around you are an emanation of love. The plant life, the animal life are an emanation of love. The difficult times, an emanation of love. The adversities, an emanation of love. And the gaze will come down to the tip of the nose. Hands are out like so. O-shaped mouth from the chest, remember? Tip of the nose. As the hands twist in, they close the fists. From the chest, you know. Keep going. Tip of the nose gaze. See for yourself, how much can you keep the gaze tip of the nose for the exercise? It requires kind of relax onto it. Inhale. Fists, root lock, squeeze the body tight. Exhale. Inhale. Rectum, sex organ, navel. Squeeze the fist, squeeze the body tight. Squeeze the spine. Exhale. Inhale, please. Root lock, tight squeeze. Everything squeeze. Deep squeeze. Exhale. Now, leading with the heel of the palm as if you're pushing something away, like that, like. Powerful move. 20 seconds. Left arm out, right arm back, squeeze deep, inhale. Exhale, switch. Make the hands tense. And then the spine and the fiber of the body tight. Exhale, switch. Tight. Root lock in, squeeze deep. Exhale. Relax. Last one, and then we get to relax. You get to relax. I gotta play the gong. Alright, tip of the nose like this. This is my favorite of the three. Tip of the nose though, you know? Getting there, heart. It's like open the pranic centers at the height of the heart and the spinal area. Imagine your whole being and your whole body's like a prayer wheel. Every rotation releasing like tens of thousands of prayers for healing, prayers for the planetary healing, prayers for all beings to experience blissfulness, nature of reality. You know what I'm saying? Your whole being's a prayer. Every movement's a prayer. Imagine. Inhale, stick the tongue out, squeeze the spine, squeeze the hands, exhale, inhale, stick the tongue, stretch it, squeeze the whole spine and the body so it shakes. That deep is the squeeze from the inside out. Exhale. One more last time. And distribute the life force energy of goodness into every cell of the body. Exhale. Amazing, no? That's why, like they say, turn your whole body into a prayer wheel. That's creativity, but in that context is why there's an emphasis on what they call, in the Buddhist Mahayana context, relative bodhicitta as versus ultimate, from Dingo Kensei Rinpoche. Bodhicitta has two aspects. Again, bodhicitta is the wish to obtain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Bodhicitta has two aspects, relative and absolute. Absolute bodhicitta is the realization of emptiness attained by bodhisattvas on the supreme levels. Until that realization dawns, the emphasis should be placed on relative bodhicitta, which in essence is the altruistic mind, the profound wish to benefit others and to be free of all selfish aims. If relative bodhicitta is practiced correctly, absolute bodhicitta will be naturally present, mixed in with it, and will eventually be fully realized. Relative bodhicitta itself has two stages. The aspiration to benefit others, and then putting that aspiration into action. The difference between the two is like the difference between wishing to go somewhere and actually setting out on the journey. The practice of relative bodhicitta consists of the meditation practice of exchanging oneself with others, and the post-meditation practice of utilizing unfavorable circumstances on your path. Come and relax onto your backs. Relax, relax. Forget about all that. Just let the mind go. Melt into the earth mother. Let her nurture your body. Your body comes from her. It is her. Let the rivers of the bloodstream be nourished and revitalized. Let the tissue layers and the organs relax and be revitalized. Let the glands balance and serve the Dharma of life. Let the nervous system recalibrate so wisdom flow is able to very easily and organically move through your own electricity system. The mind come into great peacefulness. Everything is as it should be. Inhale deep. Move the fingers, toes. Rotate the wrists, ankles. Rub the palms, rub the soles of the feet. And hug the knees to the chest, come up, rock and roll. Make your way into the meditative position, pranic meditation for the heart center. Index fingers, thumb tips, other three fingers curled in like guardians. Those other three should be like you're making a fist with those other three fingers only. Like that. Yeah, perfect. That's in the front of your heart center, like a perfect statue, like some sort of beautiful alchemy vessel that knows how to take all the suffering of the world and turn it into bliss and love and healing, nectar. How wonderful. Breathing long, slow and deep with an awareness of prana, the mystery of prana. At a certain point in this meditation, it may feel an agitation, but that's just the nervous system adjusting. Just keep breathing. Be aware of the blessings in your life, the amazing blessings of your life. Be aware of all the suffering of the life, of the world, and all the people suffering. Some of them intensely suffering. And just as a mother would take on the suffering of an ailing child, like a great mother with endless capacity of nurturing and love. You could make up the mind to wish all beings be alleviated of suffering, be freed of suffering. And breathe. Now meditate on someone who's loved you very much and who you love very much. All of us are here today because somebody loved us. Many people have loved us. Choose one. Reflect on their kindness. And think of how much you wish for them to be free of any suffering. And to be free of any intense suffering in their life, in their body, in their mind, in their hearts. And swiftly transfer that feeling of compassion to all beings everywhere. Like an etheric wave that moves infinitely outward in every direction. Breathe long and deep. For those who wish, continue the process of giving and receiving. Be like an emptied vessel, an alchemical vessel, like an antenna, an instrument of the infinite. Meditate in the third eye. Inhale. Exhale. Interlock your hands, base of the skull, elbows back, chest out, third eye. Elbows back, chest out. Inhale. Inhale. Whistle. And deeply squeeze, distributing the life force, the energy of goodness and the energy of intelligence and vitality and love into every cell of the body. Tight, like a cannon. Exhale. Meditate. Hands into the lap, thumb tips together. And dwell in the space. Take your hands and make a little cat scratcher. Kind of like fingers. Chink, 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 chink. Take the hands of prayer pose. Think of somebody you love, maybe. Think of perhaps your family. Think of anyone you wish that comes to your mind and your heart. Give a prayer, a dedication, a wish, a love. Shantideva says in legendary text, Way of the Bodhisattva, may I be a guard for those who are protectorless, a guide for those who journey on the road, for those who wish to go across the water, may I be a boat, a raft, a bridge. May I be an isle for those who yearn for landfall, and a lamp for those who long for light. For those who need a resting place, may I be a bed. For all who are in need, may I be their servant. May I be the wishing jewel, the vase of plenty. A word of power, supreme healing. May I be the tree of miracles, and for every being the abundant cow. like the earth and the pervading elements, enduring as the sky itself endures for boundless multitudes of living beings. May I be their ground and sustenance. Satnam, friends. So it may take a couple of minutes, but we're gonna go on Facebook Live, and we think we have a way to where both me and Charlotte can come on. And so it'll be just a couple of minutes, but we're gonna go on in the Life Force Academy members group on Facebook, and would love to connect with you over there. And see you there. Thanks so much. Great job. Satnam. Happy day 21 of the 40-day challenge. Satnam. See you over on Facebook. And even if you're watching this on a replay, that'll still be there, and we'll check the comments, later. So let us know, how you're doing, how everything's going for your 40-day challenge, if you would. Satnam.